recording, so you'll also receive the recording of everything that we talk about will be sent to you via email. So at the end of the session, you'll have some room for questions. You can unmute yourself then, but in the meantime, please leave your microphones muted as well as your cameras off, because we are going to be recording and Dr. Smith and I will be doing the presentation. So my name is Giselle Oberly. I'm the program manager for the accountancy program. A little bit later, I'm going to talk to you guys more so about the admissions processes for the accountancy program. But for now, I'll turn it over to Dr. Rod Smith. He's the director of the accountancy program.
Good, welcome. I'm going to talk a little bit in general about our program and why you might want to take part in it. First of all, on the next slide, we see that Cal State Long Beach is a good school. I enjoy being here, but more importantly for you, it's AACSB accredited, so any credits are transferred and widely recognized. So our MSA program is 30 hours. And it's designed to add on to the 120-hour undergraduate accountancy degree or the prerequisites to meet the 150-hour requirement to be a CPA in the state of California. Okay, give you some reasons to be interested in accounting. First of all, accountants do pretty well. Accountants with advanced degrees do even better. So according to the Institute of Management Accountants, in their survey this year, that they found that there was $16,000 higher average salaries for accountants with advanced degrees, either MS in accountancy or MS in taxation or MBAs. And that's on top of an average salary nationwide of about $125,000 for all accountants. On top of that, they get an additional $10,000 to $16,000 higher salaries for CPA and CMA certifications. The Institute of Management Accountants does the CMA, so they always put that in there, but it does pay off. Coming out of our program or out of any program, the average starting salary runs for about $66,000 to first-year CPAs up to well over $150,000 for experienced CPAs. And that's a couple of years old, but it's, it just keeps going up. According to Robert Half, the recruiting agency, anybody with a credential is in demand. CPAs, the Chartered Global Management Accountants, CGMA, Certified Management Accountants, Certified Internal Auditors, or Certified Information Systems Auditors. Plus, anybody with any experience in data analytics now is really highly sought after. One of the reasons that we like to push the master's program is that 42% of new hires into CPA firms last year came out of master's programs. 33% of accounting graduates are coming from master's programs, although there are more undergraduate accounting students. The master's programs are only 1 year, so they have a steady stream of graduates. So if you're an undergraduate and you don't have a master's degree, you're competing with a number of people that do for every single job. Okay, let's talk a little bit about our specific program. If you're interested in coming in the spring semester, which is most likely right now, you look at the bottom. We start in January. We have 12 hours in the spring semester. There is 6 hours, 2 classes in the first summer semester, and then you finish up in the fall. So you start at the end of January and you finish the 1st of December in the same year. If you're coming in the fall semester, you start end of August, you do the spring semester starting in January, and you finish in that first summer semester, so you get your 30 hours. Okay, I like to think our program is convenient. It really is designed for working professionals. All our classes are either evenings during the week or on Saturdays. And for those of you that are familiar with Cal State Long Beach, you know how easy it is to get there. It's accessible from everywhere in LA or Orange County. Plus, we're trying as hard as possible. Giselle works very hard on this to have all the documents and everything you need to submit done electronically and online, so you don't have to run in and fill out papers. Okay, we have two options. The standard master's application is for students already holding bachelor's degrees. So if you come in, if you've been out of school for a while, or you just didn't get in the fast track program at Cal State Long Beach, you're coming from another school, then you would do the standard master's application. We have a fast track program for Cal State Long Beach accountancy undergraduates that they can join after their first accounting class in the major, and that puts them on track to move very easily into the master's program as soon as they finish their undergraduate work. Okay, Giselle, you're probably better at this than I am, so.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm going to jump in here now and talk to you guys a little bit about the application process. So there is a different application process, like Dr. Smith explained, for the fast track students. So if you're interested in that, we won't go into too much detail, but just email me or Dr. Smith, and we can talk to you more about what the fast track application process looks like and what you need, what criteria you need to meet. Just so that you're aware, you do have to be currently a CSULB undergrad to apply for that. So if you graduated already and you were a CSULB accountancy undergrad, you wouldn't be eligible any longer. So just keep that in mind, but you can feel free to email us to find out more about that. So the standard application process for those that are applying the traditional route, there's a few things everyone will have to submit and a few things everyone will have to have. So definitely a bachelor's degree from a regionally accredited university, that's required. You also are required to submit a GMAT or GRE exam, except there is some students that can waive that, and we'll talk a little bit more about the waiver criteria, but otherwise that'll be part of what you submit with your application. You'll also submit a resume, video statement of purpose, a short written essay question, as well as 2 letters of recommendation, and we're going to go into more detail about a lot of those. So I'm going to talk to you about the application process. The application is all online, as Dr. Smith mentioned, through Cal State Apply. For those of you applying for the spring, that opened up August 1st. Those of you applying for the fall, that'll open up October 1st. So these are, that's coming up for those applying in the fall. So I'm going to talk to you about the 4 different quadrants of the application, and I'm going to let you know what information you can skip, because the application is kind of intense when you first look at it. It's a big application. There's a lot of different fields and a lot of different information that we're asking you for, but some of it you actually don't have to fill in. So I'm going to make sure to talk to you about that so you know what you can skip and get through the application a little bit faster, and so you know what is absolutely necessary, so that you make sure that we can process your application as quickly as possible if we have everything that we need. The only thing that you don't submit electronically is your transcripts. So you do have to contact, so that's not through the application, I should say. You do have to contact your institutions that you've attended and have them send transcripts, official transcripts, directly to CSULB. So that is separate from the online application. Okay, so there we go. So this is what it looks like when you click on Cal Apply. This is what the main screen looks like, and you would just enter the term that you're applying for and that you're a graduate student, and then you would move forward. These are the 4 different quadrants that we're going to talk about, so the 4 different sections of the application. The first 2 are pretty simple. So the first one is your personal information. So you're just going to give us your biographical information, your contact information. All of that's pretty self-explanatory. The only thing I do want to say is that you make sure that whichever email address that you give us here is an email that you frequently check, because if we're missing anything, or even for your admission, that's the email that we're going to send all that information to or request information from. So be sure that it's an email that you frequently do check. For the academic history section, you are going to list, everyone will list the colleges that they've attended. For the transcript entry, this is only required for students that are currently completing their undergrad, and you're only required to enter the courses that you're either doing or have yet to do before you graduate. So for example, if you are an undergrad applying for the fall and you finish in the summer, then you would enter the courses that you're currently taking in the fall, what you plan to take for the spring, and what you plan to take for the summer. You've already graduated, you don't worry about that section. The next section is the GPA entries. So you will have to enter your GPAs for all of the institutions that you've attended. So if you transferred in from a community college, you'll be asked to put in that information, that GPA separate from your your undergraduate college that you actually graduated from. So those GPAs should be separate. If for whatever reason you're not 100% sure what your GPA is, you can enter your best guess there. That's totally okay because those numbers are going to be verified by enrollment services. Under standardized test, if you've sat for the GMAT or GRE, this is where you're going to enter your test score. If you haven't sat for the GMAT or GRE, that's totally okay. You can still submit your application, and in fact, I recommend that you do. What you would enter there is just the date that you plan to take the exam, and so long as that date is before our deadline, that's totally fine. That way, if you submit your application early, we can start getting everything processed, and then once we receive your test scores, we'll be able to give you an admission decision faster. So that's definitely something I recommend for those of you that want to take more time to study for the GMAT GRE. Don't let that hold your application up. Just put in the date that you plan to take the exam there. Okay, so the third section is the supporting information section, and there's a lot that you can skip in this section, so that will hopefully help you get through the application a little bit faster because you don't have to worry about the experiences, the achievements, or the document section in the third quadrant. There's somewhere else where you will upload documents, but not here. So keep that in mind. Under statement of purpose, you don't actually have to write out a full statement of purpose. Instead, what you'll do is just under the statement of purpose, you do have to write something to move forward. So just write that you will submit your statement of purpose through the directly to the department, the video statement of purpose directly to the department, something like that, anything just to let you move forward. So don't mind the automatic lights. Does that to me all the time. Okay, so the fourth section of the application is the program materials section. This would be kind of the meat of your application. This is what the department is going to be looking at in order to make an admission decision. So it's very important that you don't skip any of the sections under this quadrant. So once you click on the fourth quadrant, this is what it looks like. And you'll see all the different tabs. Under this documents tab, that's where you're going to upload your updated professional resume. So again, you would upload that only in the fourth quadrant. Under recommendations, you're going to give us the name and the email of 2 recommenders, and then our system is going to email them directly. Our system kind of sends an automatically generated email to have them respond and upload their letter of recommendation. So that's how we deal with the evaluations, and we'll talk a little bit more about what or the types of evaluations that we require and that type of thing in a few minutes here. The next section is the questions section, or the next tab within the fourth quadrant is the questions tab. And there what you will do is you will include the link to your video statement of purpose. So you'll just include the link there, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. And in that section, you'll also include the answer to the essay question that we talked about. So it's a short essay question, and we'll talk a little bit more about what the prompt is for that question in a few slides here. Okay, so the letters of recommendation, we require that you submit minimum of 2 letters of recommendation. They can be either professional or academic recommendations. Either one is perfectly fine with us. You will have to provide the name and the email of each recommender in that evaluations tab. So a lot of the time students will ask if there's a template that the recommender needs to follow, and we don't have a template. There's no form that they need to fill out. It's up to them to just write the letter however they feel comfortable with. But if they need some tips, then they can you can share with them the following information of what we like to see in the letter of recommendation. So we want to see a short summary of that person's history with you. We want to see that person give a statement of the characteristics that they believe will enable you to excel in graduate studies, as well as some specific examples of the things that you've brought to the organization or to the classroom, because again, it can be either professional or academic. And of course, they want to end it with a strong closing statement that endorses your candidacy for the MS Accountancy program. So that's important that we know that they support you, pursuing this program and think that you would do well in the program. So for the video statement of purpose, You can use either YouTube or Dropbox. You can use a number of different platforms. If you do use YouTube, make sure that you make the video public and not private. That way we're able to click on it and view the video without having to have your login information, of course. So the video should be no longer than 5 minutes. Typically they're about 3.5 minutes. However, we do have a new prompt this year, so that might change a little bit, but the prompt this year is asking students to kind of let us know about their career goals over the next 3 to 5 years and what their long-term dream job would be. So again, you're going to receive a copy of this PowerPoint and this recording, so you'll have that prompt to look back on, and it's also available in the application. Okay, so the next thing that you'll have to submit again in the 4th quadrant for the department to review is a short answer written personal statement. So it's more of a short answer essay question. You'll have to describe a time when you dealt with someone who was difficult. So this can either be in an academic or professional setting, and we would like you to tell us how you handled the situation and what you would do differently if you can do it over again. Now, there is a little bit of a glitch. We asked for enrollment services to allow students applying in the spring to type up 250 words to answer this prompt. However, there was some sort of miscommunication, and instead they gave us 250 characters, including spaces, including every single letter. So obviously that's not very much when you actually type something up. It's only going to give you, those of you applying in the spring, 1 or 2 sentences. So we totally understand that, and we won't you know, take away any credit or anything like that. You won't be penalized for having a short answer to this question. For the spring, that's being addressed so that you'll have enough space to write, you know, about a paragraph or 2 in response to this question. So for those of you applying in the spring, keep in mind you're going to have very limited space, and that's totally okay. We won't penalize you for that. Okay, so we talked a little bit earlier about the GMAT GRE being a requirement. However, there is a way to waive that. What you would need to be able to waive it is having graduated from an AACSB accredited university in either business administration or accounting within the last 3 years with a GPA of 3.0 or higher. So very specific criteria that you have to meet, but if you're pretty close on any of those things or you're not sure, you're welcome to apply and we'll review your application for the GMAT GRE test waiver. So if you're interested, what you would have to do is email the 2 things below, a copy of your resume and unofficial transcripts to me at msa@csulb.edu. Once I have that information, I'll send it over to Dr. Smith, the Graduate Accountancy Program Director, and he would review and make the ultimate determination as to whether or not you qualify for that GMAT or GRE waiver. Okay, so we're wrapping up here, getting to our frequently asked questions. And once we get through these, then we'll open it up for any of your questions. So a lot of students ask if the MSA program can be completed part-time. At this point, it is a full-time only program. However, classes are scheduled in the evenings and or Saturdays to allow students to work full-time Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and still be able to make it to classes in the evenings and or Saturday mornings. And that does depend on instructor availability. So some semesters you might have your classes, you know, 3 evenings during the week, no class on Saturday. Other semesters you might have a couple classes in the evening and 1 on Saturday. The cost of the program for a California resident is about $18,000, and for non-California resident is about $30,000. So that would cover your tuition for the program. And we do provide a CPA test prep that is integrated into the curriculum as well. Okay, so that concludes our formal presentation, and now Dr. Smith and I will be here to answer any questions that you might have. I'm going to open up the chat box in case any of you feel more comfortable you know, typing into the chat box, and then we can answer your questions, or feel free to unmute your microphone and start up your video and ask questions that way as well.
We overwhelmed them, Giselle.
Should we go through that a little bit too fast? Well, I mean, you're going to receive a recording of this. You're going to receive the PowerPoint. So maybe all your questions have been answered within the PowerPoint. That's totally fine. You You'll have my contact information, Dr. Smith's contact information. Oh, let's see, we have a question here. It says, can you apply before taking the prerequisites? So you can definitely apply before taking the prerequisites. However, you must have the prerequisites completed before you start the program. So for example, if you're applying for fall 2020 and you don't have any of the prerequisites, but you plan to complete the coursework, say this fall and the next spring semester, that's totally okay. Go ahead and submit your application. However, your admission will be contingent upon completing those prerequisites before the start of the program in fall 2020. Okay, so another question, does the summer program have all the prerequisites? So we have had in the past what we call the Summer Academy, which has some of the prerequisites, not all. So the prerequisites that you have to have before starting the program are Intro to Financial Accounting and Intro to Managerial Accounting, which most business majors have that, but if you're a non-business major coming in from a totally different field, then you wouldn't have those two intro courses and you would need to complete them. Now, the 4 courses that we're really looking at that you will need those intro courses to be able to do well in are Intermediate Accounting 1 and 2, Auditing and Taxation. So those classes are included in the Summer Academy, but again, you might need those intro courses depending on your major to be able to start the Summer Academy and take those 4 courses.
I will say that the Summer Academy is contingent on demand, so we need enough students to hold a class. So it's not absolutely guaranteed. And
there are other options, and we'll help you find those options. So for example, you can take the classes at a local community college. You can take them through UCLA Extension. The Summer Academy is the more expensive option. So a lot of times students opt for the taking the courses at a community college or taking the courses at through UCLA Extension. That's an interesting question, Dr. Smith. I'm not sure if you're able to see this as well, but Caitlin asked if she's able to ask a TA for a letter of recommendation.
You can ask anybody for a letter of recommendation. I certainly don't mind that. If you know that person, have worked closely with them, they probably have better information than anybody else.
All right, so maybe we'll wait a minute or so more and see if there are any other questions that come in. Okay, another question. So if you're coming from a different major into accounting, will it be difficult to get in? I'll let Dr. Smith answer that one.
Actually, we've had some of our most successful students come from other majors, even outside of business. So no, it isn't hard to get in. It's a little daunting to complete all the prerequisites and then jump into a master's program, but we've had quite a few people do it and they've done well.
All right, any other questions? Okay, let's see, we have one more. A student coming from Merced, California, would I have to go to my local community college to see if they have the prerequisite? Is it likely? Yes, so most, I'm not gonna say any, but most California community colleges should have the prerequisites. You can use a website called assist.org. So if you email me, I'll send you the list of the prerequisites and the course numbers at CSULB and the local community colleges here, and you can enter those course numbers into assist.org and enter the community college that you're interested in, and it will tell you the exact course number at that community college. So it's definitely, it should be available at most community colleges, probably the majority of them, but I can't guarantee it. Okay, one more question. Are students able to schedule a visit to meet with someone in the program? Absolutely. So I would be happy to facilitate that if you want to meet with a current student. We can I can connect you guys via email. So what you would do is just email me at msa@csulb.edu and let me know that you're interested in that. And then I will get back to you with the email of a current MSA student that is open to meet with you and chat with you more about the program. And you guys can just work out if you want to do that in person, over the phone, or actually via email, whatever works best for you both. We're able to do that with current students. We're able to do that with alumni. Just shoot me an email to msa@csulb.edu.
You're also welcome to sit in on some classes, so we can arrange that as well.
All right, so we don't have any other questions. We'll go ahead and wrap it up, but thank you guys for joining us and for all of your questions, and we look forward to helping you through the application process. Thanks, Dr. Smith.
Thanks, Giselle.